Yeah, and welcome to Nashville, Tennessee, and someone's house I don't know, but
I don't know them either.
we just found a house. We're like, this is perfect. This is one of my favorite all-time online guitar instructors. Was an awesome True Fire instructor, and you're also doing your own thing now too.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So I'm going to leave it's Robbie Calvo, by the way, and I'm going to leave all of his links down below. So make sure you check it out. And one of the things that I really like best about you is you are one of the few people that can make modes easy to understand. Like it's like, oh, that's right. Okay, it's supposed to be easy,
Yeah.
right? And so in this video, what we're going to do is he's got an amazing what is this thing? Helix?
Yeah, it's Line 6 Helix. It's my go-to rig for the last 3 years or so.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's killer. No, it's the best thing that was ever invented.
No, I'm believing you at this point. It's amazing. So we'll talk about that in another video. But he's going to go over chord progression. We're going to go over things not only like how to play over a chord progression, but like feel and how to get stuff to just sound good.
Absolutely.
So if we start from there,
Okay.
where would you, if someone's brand new to the modes, like where do you start? Like how do you start making sense of it all?
Well, the first thing really you've got to understand is the major scale is what the Modal is all about. So we're basing our chords, our melodies, and everything on the major scale.
Okay.
Now, that could be any one of those keys. So all the information that I'll talk about today can be transposed to any other key. It's all works the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say in the key of A major, we've got a 7-note scale.
Mm-hmm.
From those 7 notes, you build chords.
Right.
And I'll do that on the fretboard for you. Let's do it
Let's do it
in real time. So
okay.
Guys at home, if you want to, just follow in real time what I'm doing. All right, so we'll take our A major scale. Okay, so just 1 octave of it, so we'll keep it super simple. Now you build a chord, you harmonize the major scale by building the chords using the scale tones, and you do that by taking the first note, the 3rd note, the 5th, and the 7th. So we'd have this. Okay, so that would be an A major 7 chord. Right,
okay.
So you've got that. The 2nd chord of the scale is built by taking the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th from the 2nd degree.
From the 2nd degree.
All right, so you'd have this.
Yeah.
And you get B minor 7.
And basic chords are root, 3rd, and 5th, right? I mean, like your cowboy chords or whatever you would say.
Yeah, so a triad would be just the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. All right, so you'd have A major.
Yep.
We put the 7th in because we may as well go that extra little bit. All right, so we've got A major 7, B minor 7 is 2. All right, and you saw the arpeggio too, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I'll actually play all of that. What you're seeing me do too is you're seeing me play the chords and create them all from this shape here and the arpeggios, all right? So you'll see the chord fall within that scale shape.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not even really moving anywhere. You're just in one spot.
Within 4 frets.
Yeah.
Okay, right here. So if you guys have got your guitars at home, you could even reference as we do this, all right? So the next chord of the scale is C sharp. Same thing. Take the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th.
From that point.
That gives us C sharp minor 7.
Right.
Okay. So recap. 1 major 7, 2 minor 7, 3 minor 7.
Yeah.
Now we go to the 4th note. Same thing. 1, 3, 5, 7. We get a D major 7. Okay.
So pretty.
They are pretty chords. Definitely not used much in the blues, right? Not on 1, 4, 5. Next note of the scale is E. Same thing. We take the 1, 3, 5 from that point in the scale. There's that flat 7, right?
Yep.
So all falling in my scale shape.
Still haven't moved.
Haven't moved. Now we go up to the next note, F sharp, 1, 3, 5, all right, 7, or flat 7 in this case.
Oh, check out that fancy chord.
All right.
All right.
So that's F sharp minor 7.
Yeah.
Same as that, it's just a different voicing, and you're seeing these chords fall within the scale.
Okay.
the reason I'm doing this too is if you know this chord shape within the scale shape,
Yeah.
you have chord tone references.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So I know where I can target my tones now too, right?
Well, yeah, and the fact of, I've never taken it past the fifth, right? But I see the brilliance in doing that because the arpeggio, like that you're building,
yeah.
you know what to hit. You know
It's all
right?
chord tones.
It's all right there.
And anyone that's followed my courses on Sweet Notes knows that that's a big deal,
freaking
right?
courses, by the way. So anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, the chord tone, thank you. Well, the chord tones are the best tones that you can hit over a chord with those tones.
Yeah.
If you add the extension to a chord, it becomes a chord tone too, right? And we can talk about that.
Okay. Detail. Go ahead.
No, right.
Not to get sidetracked.
No, right. So then the seventh chord is built from the seventh degree. All right. So we've got 1, 3, flat 5, flat 7.
Okay.
That gives you -7, flat 5.
It's a martini chord right there. Yeah, baby.
It's one of those. And you don't hang out there too long. You want to resolve, right? And that's why it's, the 7 up to the...
Yeah. Okay.
So let's recap the chords. A major 7 is 1, B minor 7, 2, C sharp minor 7, 3, D major 7, 4, E 7, 5, F sharp minor 7, 6, and G sharp minor 7 flat 5 is 7. Now those are the 7 chords that are built from the A major scale when you harmonize the scale, harmonizing meaning chords. Yeah. Now, tonality and modality comes from the chord progression, so we now build chord progressions using those chords.
Yeah, okay.
The key to understanding modality is the resolution point of whatever chord progression you create is going to tell you what mode it is.
Okay.
All right, so let's start with, I'll build a modal progression using any of those chords.
All right.
That resolves to the 1 chord.
Okay.
So A major 7.
Right.
And that would be Ionian, right?
Okay.
So our chord progression is going to it's going to resolve to that tonal
center. Yeah.
Well, it's the tone. No, the key center is A.
Right. Yeah.
The tonal center is also A, but we'll look at it as more modally. Right. All right.
A special.
So, A special, yes. Like us.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So the chord progression I'm going to play, and I've looped it in my pedal board here, so I'll jam a few notes in a minute, but I'm just going to tell you what the chords were. So playing A major, here, triad, C sharp minor 7,
right,
which is 3, right? Remember we said that's 3. D major 7. Then I'm playing E, and I played it
as you should,
like that, right? So this is how I played the progression.
See, I'm just already picturing where you live. Just a beach in Hawaii somewhere. Birds singing in the background. Right. Robbie sipping a coconut. Okay, so good.
So you guys listening to that progression, I'm going to play it again, but I want you to really listen to where the chord progression resolves.
Okay.
It's about where the resolution point is the chord progression, right?
Okay.
So listen to how this resolves. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Walk off stage, right? And you feel that's where the tonal center is. Now, if I know that, I use my A major scale to then target tones of A major 7, i.e. arpeggio tones.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, do that slow.
Okay. So
wait, go, dude. One more time for reference. Go all the way through the A major scale on all 6 strings.
Okay. A major scale.
Slow. Reverse. Uno mas. Okay. Oh, check you out.
Okay. Yeah. Go down to the major 7.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the A major 7 arpeggio within my scale shape.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll do that slow as well. So. it's really nice. So they're going to be my tones that I resolve my phrases to.
Okay.
Of course, I can use all 7 notes of the
Yeah.
scale. So what I'm going to do is I'll pull up the track that we recorded.
Okay. You recorded.
And I recorded, yeah, my loop, if you like.
He's done it all. Made it easy for me. I pressed record on the cameras. That's about it.
And what I'll try and do is I'll play simple phrases and point out the resolution point of the phrase as we do it. So you guys go, well, I don't have to play fast, I just have to play purposefully.
Okay.
And it's about playing purposefully.
Oh, isn't that everything in one sentence?
You really do. I always say to people, you know, if you play with intention, you'll always play well because you have an intention towards what it is you're going to do. If you have no idea of what it is, how do you even perform the task?
Right.
You have to understand that.
Yeah.
So, so here's a loop of what I was playing. So there's the 5th E of my A chord, right? There's C sharp. Let's resolve to A now. Now I know the major 7 isn't in my progression because we only played a triad, remember?
Okay.
That doesn't mean we can't flavour this now, and this is where the modes start evoking the flavour.
Okay.
The major 7 is the characteristic note of Ionian.
Okay.
Now it's not in our chord, so I won't hang there, but I'll pull out the flavour.
We'll pepper.
Pepper it, exactly. Right, so let's start simple again. Now there's the major 7, right?
Yeah.
And if you do go there and resolve, choke the note, don't sustain it. You'll always get away with it if you don't sustain the note, right?
Okay.
So. Right, so you get the idea.
Smooth is your voice.
Thank you. But the idea, here's the other thing. I always say to guys, if you're playing over a modal progression, don't worry about outlining all the chords.
Yeah.
Target the tonal center chord. So I can now phrase my lines towards the tonal center.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try now, instead of thinking about me playing, I'm going to phrase towards that tonal center, and I'm going to try and wait and then target to the resolution.
Okay.
So let me just check my tuning real quick because it sounds like it's a tiny bit out. But
It's close enough for rock and roll, baby. Come on.
That's right. That's right. So hopefully you guys understand that we've got a tonal center of the A chord, so we're targeting the resolution point to be the A tones, A, C sharp, E, and we can flavor the modal sound of Ionian with the major 7 because we didn't put it in the chord.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
If I'd played that as an A major 7, it would have dominated the root note.
Yeah.
And you'd have actually wanted to resolve to the major 7 more than the root.
Right. Okay.
So it was kind of good that we didn't.
Yeah.
So, okay, targeting towards the tonal center.
Okay.
Right? So here's the progression again. So there's my resolution, right? Go round back towards the A.
All right.
Yep. Let it all hang, right?
Yeah.
You're not on the tonal center. Here you are. So
Do you hit bad notes?
Yes, and we'll probably do some in the
Okay,
filming.
okay, I was just checking. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I get that sometimes when I'm lucky. People say, "Do you ever hit a wrong note?" And then I'll hit one. And
Right. Okay, I don't want to jinx you.
Yeah. So the idea is, guys, remember this. So the key points are: understand the major scale, understand your chords come from the major scale. A chord progression you create from that key, from those chords, will have a tonal center. That tonal center is what you target when you're improvising. And let's say it is our one chord tonal center. You then can use the characteristic note of the Ionian mode, the one mode, which is the major 7 note.
Okay.
And the major 7 note is going to pull out and evoke the flavor of Ionian.
Okay.
All right. And it's the only one of the modes that the major 7 will be the characteristic note. And we'll find as we go through them, they each have a characteristic note
Okay.
that evokes the flavor.
Got it.
So that's on the A chord. Now, if we were to then move on to the second mode, do you want to move on, or have you got questions like within
Okay,
that?
so what if we took it, can you play, if I just kind of tied one arm behind your back and made you stick to more pentatonic phrasing, but
Yep.
adding that one characteristic note?
Absolutely.
You know, in case people are, you know, most people are familiar with the pentatonic scale. So what if we did something more along those lines and then peppered in that 7th note? What would that sound like? So
Okay.
they're just curious on.
Absolutely. So you guys probably know that the pentatonic scale, pent meaning 5, is a 5-note scale. And the A major pentatonic scale falls right in our pattern,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So that'd be, I call it position 2, but
Yeah,
some people call that position 1, right? Yeah.
so our standard
Yeah.
would be here.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing I would say to guys is, look, when you play the pentatonic scale, I'm just going to, there's my A chord.
Yeah.
I know where all my resolution
Yeah.
points are.
Exactly.
When I play this shape of my pentatonic, I can see all of my tonalities. So
Right.
when you said, can we pepper it with our characteristic note, we'll
Yeah.
add that. I can see it, it's right there. There's
Yeah.
my major 7.
Okay.
So if I played over the progression, which I'll do in a second,
Okay.
and then I would play A major
Yeah.
pentatonic
Okay.
and slip that in. So let me do that, and forgive me if I add a chromatic. I tend to
Oh,
add
please do.
wonky notes.
Because they're fun.
Yeah. Okay, so keeping it simple. Okay, we still need to resolve.
Yeah. That 7th is a good half-step bend note too, huh?
It is. Yeah, so if you want to bend from the major 7 into the tonic or
Yeah.
the root note, right? So
Yeah.
not a nice way of doing it. Sorry about that, but let's try it again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right here, so
Yeah. Your notes are all connected together.
okay. So yes, so major pentatonic as opposed to just using major scale. And what you'll find is, if you guys don't already know this, that all of your pentatonic scales are derived from the major scale.
Right.
It's not come from anywhere else.
Yeah.
So when we play Dorian, I can play B minor pentatonic in position over the chord, and it's just 5 of the notes of the major scale. So you can use pentatonics modally, and I did a whole course on that, actually. And what you'll find is the pentatonic will follow the chord, right? So A major 7, right. A major pentatonic, B minor 7, C sharp minor pentatonic over C sharp minor, D major pentatonic. So if you add 3 major pentatonics together, A major, D major, and E major, you get all the notes of the major scale. If you add all of the minors, B minor, C sharp minor, and F sharp minor, from that key of A, gives you all the notes of the major scale. So honestly, I could, well, let's try something. So what I'm going to do is I'll play the track again, and I'll just move through a couple of positions of pentatonic, knowing that it's derived from the major scale, using only the chords from that scale. So let's try it. I don't even know what it's going to sound like. If it's horrible, forgive me. But I think it's going to work.
So the theory is we're going to use A still as our tonal center.
Yep.
But you're going to put the pentatonics from the chord progression into that.
Well, yes.
Am I understanding that right?
Yeah. And what I could do is I could follow the chords because you're going to outline them a little bit. Or I can just do it randomly where I'll play A major pentatonic, B minor pentatonic, C sharp minor pentatonic, D major, and so on.
Are you going to stick to one shape?
I'm going to follow the chords.
Okay.
I could if I thought about it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like simplistically, so it's easy to follow.
Well, no. So logically, let me show you what I'm going to do. So if I've got A major here, I'm just going to follow the harmonized scale.
Okay.
A major pentatonic, B minor pentatonic.
Okay, got it.
C sharp. I'm going to move with it.
Yeah. Okay,
right?
I got it.
And I'll try and denote it as I do it. Right. And maybe not think too much even about it. Right. Just so. So this would be E, right?
Yeah.
Here's F sharp minor. So from the top.
You know what's really interesting about your playing too is you're really good at building tension and having a perfect note to fall back to. You know what I mean? Because that's such an art in being able to take people places. People are afraid of, I don't want to call it a wrong note, but I was talking to another player just recently, and they were talking all about tension, like knowing how to, because you can really if you can hit a note that's full of tension and then resolve, it takes you on so much more of an emotional ride than, it doesn't sound as predictable either,
Well, it doesn't. And the other thing is, before we set up, we were talking about phrasing and all those things and playing with intent and listening.
Yeah.
So if I know that, obviously I want to target my core tones, my, tonal centered tones. Mm-hmm. But also, like you say, you're building a phrase and a line. You're actually making a movement and a solo. And what I see in a lot of guys when I'm teaching is that they're just they're going through the motions.
Yeah.
They're just playing the notes. They're not listening.
Right.
And they're not going, oh, that note I'm on right there.
Yeah.
If I bend that a semitone, it's going to sound mustard.
Yeah.
Like when I hit that note there, it's like... And right now, I'm not playing the way I normally would because I'm teaching, right?
Yeah.
I'm breaking it down into a simpler concept, if you like. But when I played up here and I was like, my E major...
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to bend into this
Yeah.
tone.
Yeah.
That's normally how I play.
Sure.
And when I hear those things, because I'm intently listening, I'll go for that. And you don't always hit the winners, right? I mean, we're improvising.
Well, that's part of it, right?
It is. And sometimes when you live on the edge, someone used to say to me, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
Right.
And I don't like to live on the edge. You probably don't hear me play outside hardly ever, maybe a few chromatics. So I'm very inside as a player, which is probably why the modal stuff makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
So developing lines, and I know we're going to film some things on me, how I develop phrases. So we can get into that as we do this a little bit. But I think we're going to film something purposefully, right, on phrasing.
Of course.
Yeah, guys, I mean, just understanding this stuff is great, but then you've got to apply it. But you've got to be trying to create emotional content, which is what modal playing is all about. Composers use modes to evoke feeling.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing those things, or you're not listening and evoking some kind of mood,
Right.
then you're missing the point.
Yeah, you are. I mean, these are all just they're like it's a map. You know what I mean? But the emotional part is like that destination that you're trying to get to. And I think that's what like the Gilmores and all the players that everybody knows and loves, you know, in whatever genre you listen to, they're able to do both of those things.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. If we were going to kind of do a short bullet points, A would be to know, in this particular instance, the scale.
Yes.
B, would you make it the next thing to go through and learn the arpeggio for each of the chords in the scale?
Know the chord and know that you build that by building the arpeggio.
Right.
1, 3, 5, major 7.
But would you physically go through and know each of those arpeggios for each of the chords?
Well, that's going to be a little bit of work.
Right.
And I will
say,
say,
right?
Yeah. No. And this is the thing, guys, we were talking about this earlier, is that, you know, I work with a lot of people and they go, oh, God, I wish I could play like you. And I go, yeah, 14 hours a day for 30 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I still want to be better and I want to keep getting better. So know you've got to put some work in. But let's say you got 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Right? And you go, I am absolutely going to nail the modes, because if I understand that, I can play pretty much over anything in popular music.
Yeah, for sure.
Because everything has a tonal center.
Yep.
And so much stuff has been written in one key.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So much.
Yeah.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of songs.
Yeah. So given that, I know that this is important, which is why I did it. Right.
Okay.
So I'm saying to you guys, okay, so this is important to me. So the thing I'm going to do this week is I'm going to learn the scale. I'm going to name all the notes. I'm going to be able to do this. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A.
Okay.
There's my octave.
Got it.
Then I'm going to go above that, right? A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A.
Okay.
Now I've got my whole scale there. Then I'm going to say, okay, where are my arpeggio tones, my chord tones of A major 7? Reference the chord. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1. Now you could have done what I just did there in what? A minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's your first practice session today,
Yeah.
fantastic. You've just gotten past what most people will never do in a lifetime.
We'll never do. Yeah.
Okay, then you say, right, now I'm going to learn the upper portion of that arpeggio. 1, major 3, 5, major 7.
That's that chord.
There's that chord. Right, there's major 7.
Right.
And what you find is, there's major 7, you know. There's
Check
major
you
7.
out. Holy moly.
When I moved to Nashville and I went to see publishers with my songs, they'd say, can't play them $50 chords, boy.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
would say, these are out of town chords.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And of course,
sophisticated.
but of course, the piano players.
Yeah,
play
of
them.
course. Friggin',
Right.
yeah.
But guitar players, you've got to keep it simple. But anyway, so the arpeggios are everywhere. So I would advocate this. Within one practice session, you could play through the scale, name the notes, build the chord, play the arpeggio.
Well, see, that's perfect because there's 7 notes, 7 chords, 7 days in a week.
And you could look at it like that, and that's a great way of doing it. How do I practice and maximize time? And a lot of guys will say to me, I have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy schedule. I've got kids, I've got work and everything. And I go, do you have 5 minutes? And they go, yeah, I can find 5 minutes. And I would say to them, pick up your guitar, do what I just did there, and reference it. And then the next time you pick it up, go back the other way. Always reference your chord, because you can hear it.
Yeah.
Reference the scale if you want to, right? Okay, now, your next practice session, I would say, if you've got a looper, loop it or record it or jam with someone and put down a little bit of a progression or just the one chord and practice your arpeggio over it.
Okay.
Okay, or your scale over it.
Yeah.
Should I do it?
Yeah, do
Let's
it
do
up.
it. Okay. So let's just
Helix in motion, folks. Here we go.
looping in
Real time.
on the fly.
Good pack, fly loops.
Okay, so there's my chord. Now listen to what's working, right? All of these are going to work. Right. So then you maybe start improvising. Hear what I said about that dominates? Mm-hmm. So then you've got the scale as well, right? But you now know where your resolution point tones are, your chord tones, right? You've got the arpeggio. So let's do a little bit of that. And then you start making it musical.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're concentrating and you actually got focused practice time. And at the end of that session, you could go, I achieved something today. Instead of noodling around for 2 hours over a jam track.
So guilty of doing that.
Which it's easy and it's fun.
Yeah.
But what I find, it's an unwind for a lot of people, and and I'm going to say this in the most polite way, kind of a cop out, because you're playing, you could say I practiced 2 hours today, but actually you didn't.
You didn't really learn anything new.
No, and all you did was practice muscle memory. And when you actually start focusing on tones, for example, if I said to people, okay, play your A major pentatonic here as your F sharp minor pentatonic shape.
Yeah.
A lot of guys would probably do something like, and they'd resolve on the B. All your chord tones are here. So I go,
you're playing your minor pentatonic licks in major, and it does not work.
And they go, well, these were the notes you told me I could use. I said, yeah, you can use them, but you still have to resolve.
Yeah.
So over my A major 7, right? There's my E. So what I do is I say, okay, so why don't you then choose each one of those tones as at the end of each of your licks? So let's do 4 2-bar licks.
Okay.
Right? Getting somewhere, right? So, and this is not exactly the great backing track.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's interesting that you're doing that, because it people are scared to, like, because some of those notes, like the root, third, and the fifth, it's almost like in a 1-4-5 blues progression. A's always home base. Right. Third's like you are in that chord, and the fifth is an interesting note because it's almost like it's open. You can go, so it almost follows the same principles as the actual chord progression itself. But like, you have to be able to know how to comfortably get into those and how to make it work. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, they want to resolve to that root all the time, and it just it drastically limits your ability to pull out emotions, I would say, more than anything.
Well, it does, and we've all heard this, right? If I was playing dominant here, and everyone's here all the time, right? So this is what I say to guys: is okay. So it's okay, do that the first time.
Yeah.
Establish home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to bend it a slight bit, and then.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, exactly.
You've gone through all the chord tones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a solo
Yeah.
without going anywhere, and what you're doing is, number one, you're rhythmically you're doing something. You're cycling melodically through things, so the listener goes, "Oh, progression,
Yeah.
progression, progression."
Yeah.
And if you go 1, 3, 5, 1, that's an 8-bar solo. You took them from the beginning
Yeah.
through a sequence of notes back to the beginning,
Right.
but maybe higher up, right?
Yeah,
Or an
exactly.
octave above.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I always think that's a great way of structuring a solo,
Yeah.
or at least a good place to start.
Well, it's a great place. It's a great thing to practice for sure.
Yeah.
You know, to get concepts down. You know what I mean? It's like it's so easy when there's a system in place. So you have a focused, purpose-driven practice regimen, like you're saying. Because I mean, I'll sit and noodle for hours, but it's like you're saying. It's like, yeah, my technique may be getting better, but at the end of the day, I find myself wanting to play less and less notes, but have them count more and more. You know, like I would easily give up all the technique in the world if I could play like Mark Knopfler or David Gilmour. You know what I mean? Because it's just, I mean, those are some of my favorite solos of all time, and they're not. I mean, somebody playing for 2 years could play that. You know, now they might not sound like that because of the feel and all that other stuff, but like, it's nothing sophisticated. But their phrasing and their timing and all that stuff just makes such a big difference. And I think if you just noodle, you never develop that.
Well, one of the other things that I did in one of my courses was let the chords do the work, which is what Gilmour's doing. He's hitting a note, and that note may actually be a chord tone of all the chords he's playing over. So therefore, it's a resolution point, and he hangs on it, and when the chord changes, its relationship to the chord has changed.
Right.
It's now could be the third of the chord instead of the root of the other chord.
Well, he's a singer, too. You know what I mean? And it's like he phrases vocally, and I think that a lot of people forget that. Like, I used to have a guy that was in my neighborhood. He's a ripping player, but phrasing was beautiful. And he's like, dude, it's a sentence, it's a conversation. You know, there's a period, there's exclamation points, there's commas. Like, guitar playing is the same thing, you know. And if you can sing what you're playing, even better, because then you're intently picking notes for a purpose. You're not noodling. You're putting, if you can hum your phrase in your mind, that starts to be everything, because then you find out, oh, that's a fifth, that's a third. Right. And then it all starts to kind of...
Absolutely, it does. And one of the things that was key to me is developing, and guys that know me know that I'm not a fast, flash player. I'm very purposeful. I'm targeting those, chord tones and trying to be as melodic as possible. And I stay inside a fair bit. I'm not an outside player. But when I started to sing, the relationship with the instrument changed for me, because I understood that the notes that I was singing here were resonating, because music's resonance. Actually, everything's resonance, right? Everything resonates. So when the resonance here, let's say I'm singing the root note, I'm now connecting to the guitar. Because it's part of this now. It's not just me and a guitar and a plank of wood that's playing a bunch of notes. I'm now in it. And this starts feeling good. Right. So I always say to people, definitely sing. You don't have to be the best singer. I'm not the best singer. I just give it all I got. And, I make a living doing it, which is fantastic. And I think it's really key, again, phrasing. When you have a conversation with someone, there's dynamics. There are pauses. If it's a communication, I always say listen first, respond second. So
good
listen and respond, not react.
Right.
And that's another thing. I think if you respond to the music, responsiveness is better than reactionary. It's like an argument. You can argue with someone because you're reactive. You can respond to someone. You can do that in kindness and calmness. And I think when you're a musician, you start to think in terms of, okay, I'm going to phrase this idea. What did it make me feel? I'm not just playing music for me. And here's what I think happens to a lot of guys. They go home, they get in their room, turn on the amp, all their pedals. And it's just them. Right? Yeah, exactly. So they're having fun.
Right.
It's their blow-off steam thing. To make yourself a better player, you have to realize that there's a recipient. And it's not just you. So if you want to get better, know that you're playing music for other people. That's a different story. And I can listen to, there's amazing players. This town's full of them. I don't even get my guitar out here.
No,
It's
I don't
frightening.
I'll play rhythm.
Yeah, I'll stay home with it.
Right.
But given that, you're creating a piece of music for someone to listen to, and it's not about virtuosity, it's about what it made people feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
No,
and there are
totally.
guys, the guys have got that, and there are guys who've got the chops. If you've got both,
You got a gig.
and right, you've got a gig.
Or lots of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I always think chops is knowing what not to play.
No, it really is. I mean, 100%. Like we were talking earlier, Jack Pearson, like
Oh.
I saw him sequentially with some of the best players in town, and he has chops for days, but like he can pull, and he's everybody in town's favorite player because he has the chops, but he knows when to use them, and he can also play 3 notes, and it's like, oh my God, and how he phrases it and the timing, and just there's so much more to music than, like you're saying, I think everyone just, for me, it's that virtuosic playing that attracted me to guitar, but it's getting out of that mode. And it's like what you're saying, like everyone in the town says, play to the song. And like you finally start to realize what that means. And it's like, oh, that's what these guys are doing. And that's why it sounds so good.
Right. Well, and the other side of that is, so when you start learning songs, repertoire, that's one of my things when I talk to when I'm teaching. Play us a song.
Yeah.
And they go, well, I know a Led Zeppelin riff. And I go, okay, so you're at a party. There's a guitar there, which often happens.
Yeah.
You're a guitar player. And it happened to me in LA
Yeah.
when I was first going to music school. And someone said, well, play us a song. You're a guitar player and you're going to music school. I had nothing to play.
Yeah.
So now if someone says that, I play Midnight Train to Georgia or Tracks of My Tears or songs I love.
Yeah.
And I do them my way. I don't have to do them the way the originals were
exactly.
done.
Yeah.
And then I sing them and people go, dude, that was great.
Yeah.
And then I realize, all right, now that I've learned the song and the chord structures, what would be the melodic structure if I was going to take a solo?
Yeah.
And what I've learned is, because I'm playing acoustic guitar a lot at my vocal gigs,
Right.
those gigs, I'm not bending strings.
Yeah.
I'm not, I can't facilitate that. So what I did was I started learning more double stop things.
Yeah. Which is my favorite anyways.
And it's such a great way. Number one, you've got twice the notes, so you've got harmony against your harmony, but you've also got great rhythmic phrases and hooks.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of hooks. So if I'm playing over, this A thing, I start going. And then I break the double stops into single tones. You see what I did there? Right? So. And again, you have to know your chord tones. This is not just playing double stops.
Yeah.
This is playing phrases towards a purposeful end.
Right.
I'm not just playing something.
Yeah.
I'm playing an intentional line.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, hanging around and like obviously watching videos like your own, hanging around a lot of musicians that really have to play to the song for a living. You really start to realize it's all about the maximum. Almost in music today too, it's how do you get the maximum out of as little as possible?
Yeah.
That's still, and I like the band context because it's easy to get on Instagram and seeing 1,000 players just ripping.
Oh.
But it's like once you get with a singer and other instruments, maybe a keyboard player, there's so much more that you have to pay attention to and not step on each other's toes. Because it was I was at a gig the other night and it was like their show. It was like their showcase. And the band just didn't work. But then when you got a bunch of people on stage who play for a living in bands, it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, there it is. Everybody knows how to listen and how to, as a unit, they pull everyone along for the ride rather than just, everyone like playing for themselves, And I think that's so important to start to think about.
Well, music is a language, isn't it? And the reason they say have your kids learn music along with their academia is it's a language to them at that age.
Yeah.
It's absorbed. Mm-hmm. It's not learnt. It's not a struggle.
Totally.
It's absorbed and it comes naturally. And the whole communication and the listening first. Jack Pearson, for example, he's listening. what's appropriate, nails it,
Yeah.
and backs out. You know, and he might not play anything for 16 bars. That's okay. He's orchestrating his performance. And it's okay if you're on stage. You don't have to be banging out the chords all the time. So, for example, if the keyboard player's laying in, you know, the stuff I did on my progression. Here's what I'm going to do. So I just do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Chord tones.
Says everything.
Little rhythmic things. Tiny little rhythmic phrases. And if the drummer, this is what happens to me a lot when I do that stuff, the drummer starts doing that. And I was playing a gig last year. I often, when I come to town, I do a gig with my favourite players and stuff. And Casey Martin was playing keyboards, and he's a monster keyboard player. So I go solo, and he does his solo, and it's unreal, and it's full of motifs, and he builds it, and he's like, you can see him, he's in it, right? And I'm like, oh God,
in the spirit.
This is the way, and you just go, that's how it's done. Right? And I'm getting a master class, and he's in my band, we're jamming. So then I do my solo, and I did that kind of stuff, and I'd play it, and he'd mimic me. Yeah, oh, it's so fun. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and it's so much of a more participatory. The audience can participate. I was like, wait, how am I going to say that? And my brain said it, and my mouth did not achieve what I was going for.
Lots of drool.
Right, exactly. So, anyways, but it, like Jack and the band, like Jack was doing something that was so dissonant. It was like, oh my God, everyone could feel it, and then he just brought it home, and it, like, everyone was just like, ah! I mean, the place went crazy because the whole band was like, even the drummer started making a little bit more like just nonsense sound playing on the cymbals. It's like everybody was doing that, and when the whole band can do that, it's just 10 times the effect than if just one musician is doing everything.
Absolutely, and I love working with a drummer that takes control. I always say to my drummer, dude, if you want to bring it down, you want to take it up, you want to change some things, do it, we'll follow you, and we'll make it interesting. And I give all of the guys that I work with carte blanche to do what they do because they're that good. I know it's going to be better than anything I could tell them. And I think when you work with players like that, and you should always try and work with players that are better than you. The guys I work with are better than me by far.
That makes it so much more fun.
So I asked a friend of mine, you know, does Eric Clapton, he teched for Eric Clapton for like 33 years.
Holy moly.
Yeah, a long gig.
I can only imagine some of the stuff he saw.
Yeah, he didn't tell me, you know, NDAs were signed.
Right.
No,
exactly.
But I said to him, does he make mistakes in the studio and stuff? And he said, of course he does. You know, he's a human being, number one, and he's looking for things, right? And I think when you... It doesn't hurt to try things. If you want to keep safe, I try not to do that when I'm performing, just in case it's not right. I'm going to make a mistake or two anyway. So, you know, there's my learning experience. And I know that it's not going to be perfect. We have better nights than others, and I'm okay with that because we're not machines. But everyone makes mistakes, and even those people that we think are perfect, they worked it all out before they got up there.
They did. And they also know, players with experience like that, they know how to bail out. So if they're making a mistake, they know how to get out of it. And, you know, honestly, I mean, 80% of the people in the place, they're not going to know. Unless it's really bad, like a freaking train wreck, you know, like, ugh, you know, like, but I mean, that's what experience will do. And when you said about playing with other people and playing with people better than you, nothing will get you better quicker than playing with players that are more experienced. I mean, you know, I was doing jam tracks for this Hendrix course I was going to be doing, and I'm still doing it. Eventually it'll come out. But you know, my friend Kenny Greenberg, he got a session going, and he hired this drummer named Greg Morrow, I think is how you say his last name. Played for everybody. I mean, played on huge albums, the whole 9 yards. Kenny's like, I got the guy for you. And I'm like, okay. And, you know, at first I was nervous. I didn't even want to play in the session. And Kenny went to go to the bathroom or whatever. And they're like, just play. Like, play something. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I started playing, and he starts playing drums. And I'm like, this is easy. Like, you know, you think it's going to be hard and you're intimidated, but what you don't realize is players that are better, when you surround yourself with, it makes your job easier. It's like, it was just like, oh, it's like a big pillow. The guy, and he was a freaking animal on the drums, but it made it so much easier to actually play. And in that one experience, I probably gained 5 years of what I would if I would have been playing with people that were my level or below. You know what I mean? Because It was just, this is how it's supposed to, and you ought to, and it teaches you, it gives you discernment, and when you're getting involved in projects too, like, no, I need to be going forward, from this point too. And it's,
well, absolutely. But these guys, Kenny Greenberg and Greg Morrow, have played supporting roles in
forever.
situations in the studio, so they know what their role is.
Yeah.
They're a supporting musician.
Yeah.
Unless it's their time to shine, right?
Yeah.
So
which they can do.
Which they can do in spades,
Right.
So they know that you're the star.
Yeah.
Right. He's underneath you,
Yeah.
so he's going to make you feel as good and musically proficient as possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, these great session players are playing with musicians that may not be as good as them.
Yeah.
But they're the star.
Yeah.
Well, you don't not support them because you get underneath them and you're there
Right.
for them. And I think great advice to other guitar players out there would be, all right, what's your role in the band? Are you the lead guitar player? And if you are, play lead guitar when it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe learn to play great fills.
Yeah.
Right? So many guitar players don't know how to stay out of the way of the vocalist.
Right.
You just because you're called the lead guitar player does not mean that you have to play lead guitar all the time. So learn what your role is in the band. Maybe communicate with the band as well and say, all right, the keyboard player's playing here and he's playing in this range. Maybe I need to be here. What's the bass player doing? Start being an orchestrator. Right. Communicate your ideas. And I think part of the reason I wanted to go to music school and learn theory, when I started playing guitar, I was playing in bands pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And I was a writer as well. And I would say to someone, hey, here's this great idea for the next song, right? And they'd go, what are you doing? And I'd go, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I went to music school because I wanted to learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
And music's a communication.
Yep.
So learn as much as you can about your craft. Know that then communicating that to someone is going to be great if you're good at it.
Yeah.
And then learn to orchestrate parts and be a supporting role.
Yeah. Be a listener.
Be a listener.
Yeah. You have to be. I mean, and one of the, I'm sorry, we're getting long-winded, but it's so fun having to, play like yourself. But one of the main things that I've learned now too, obviously the chord progression, all that stuff's important, but even listening to you, rhythm is so much a part, and listening to the drummer, like listen to what that guy is doing. There's a guy in town, Sean Tubbs, and you guys probably know who he is.
He's amazing.
Just mind-melting guitar player. But even himself, he's like, that's what he said. He's like, listen to the hi-hat. Like in sessions, everyone's like, dude, don't just worry about the kick and snare. Listen to that hi-hat, because that, all that stuff, really like what you're saying, you start doing your bubble part and the drummer starts, it's this synergy. And without listening, you miss those moments of taking the whole thing to another place.
You really do. I mean, well, let's do that, right? Let's
all right.
Do a little bit of a study.
3-hour video. It's going to be awesome. Sorry, I killed my other camera here, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to pull up like a percussion loop groove that I play to for gigs and stuff. So let's see.
It's all about rhythm anyways. So don't watch what he's doing. Just listen.
All right. So first, okay, so we're listening to this groove. All right. So what's that telling me? All right. So boom, boom, boom. All right. There's my kick. So I'm hearing those pulses. So let's see what we can come up with. I'm just going to jam something. It dropped out, right?
Yeah.
So there's a bit more space.
Yeah.
finding pockets.
Yeah.
People talk about playing in the pocket. Well, I played a load of different pockets, didn't I? And then I could do this maybe. Feels more like the chorus here because it's up, right?
Yeah, see, okay, so what's interesting about that is, like, when I'm hearing a drum that's a part that's very syncopated like that, it allows you to just be like, rang, and suddenly all you're doing is you're playing very simple things on the guitar, and the drummer is the driving force.
Absolutely.
And then when you do that pocketed fill, it makes it sound that much better because it's not noise. It's space and then a like hard hitting fill, but it's still complementing what the main rhythm of the song is doing.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I taught in my workshops when I was out doing the Yamaha clinics was I would say, listen to this solo that I'm going to play, right? And I want you to pick out things that you wouldn't normally pick out that I'm doing. And one of the things I did was I was playing my crescendo line across a drum fill. Mm-hmm. And I said, do you like how that sounds? And they said, it sounds amazing. And I said, well, do you understand what that's doing? I said, the fill is underneath my line, so it supports the line.
Yeah.
And if you listen for that, Lukather does that a lot.
Tim Pierce, we just did a course with Tim Pierce, and he said the exact same thing about drum fills. He's like, it sounds so good, especially if your guitar part's a little bit busier and it's going with the fill. He's like, I always listen for that.
Right. So let's see if we can find that. Let's just see where the fills are coming. They should be every 2 bars or maybe every 4. Let's see what we get here. So I hit more notes where the fill was.
Yeah.
And it feels like a crescendo because a drum fill is actually signaling the end of a phrase to a new phrase, isn't it? So if you're being supported by that and you're phrasing that way as well, it's a great way to crescendo a line, end a solo, and focus your attention. So at the beginning, maybe simple, and you develop your lines. We talked about rhythm, didn't we? We said, okay, maybe you start with quarter notes, then eighth notes, then triplets. And, you can kind of do that. Let's just try that a little bit. So real simple.
Yeah,
see how it got more rhythmically complex.
No, it's funny. We were talking about Ford, a guy in town, but I was always asking him, and I'm like, Ford, how do you're phrasing? And he's like, I hear drums in my head. I hear like a shuffle in my head, even if it's a straight beat, because it puts like a swagger and that's another thing, and we'll get into that in another lesson. But oftentimes, just a little bit of a swing feel, and that's that grease. You know what I mean? And start. If I could give you one piece of advice after 4,000 that we've just dished out, watch this hand on a player, because that is so much of that, and it goes with the rhythm that you're talking about. So much of that is the right hand too. I think we concentrate all on this hand, and it's so much of guitar playing is over here. You know what? We're going to just make some more videos. So Thank you for coming along for that hour-and-a-half ride. Down below is going to be Robbie's links. He's literally one of my favorite guitar instructors of all time. Very, very, very to the point and useful information, and definitely not above. It's not going to be like, oh, that was a great 4-hour course. I actually could understand about 30 minutes of it. No, it's from start to finish. They're great. And he's just, the smooth voice gets me. I feel there's no pressure here. It's just a nice, comforting sound, and it's amazing. So anyways, click his links down below. Check him out. We're going to be doing more videos in the future. So thank you so much for joining us, Robbie. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.